through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
Yes, people, we're in the building. We're back in the blood clot building. Gee, you know what time it is. You know what it is. We're here today. As you guys can obviously see in the caption, we're here to talk about none other than former player Gini Wijnaldum. Now, obviously, I had to bring my brothers with me. Big up Ish, big up Jerry. How are you guys doing first and foremost, man?
Good, bro. I'm good. It's good to be back with them. And if you're in the chat, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, all of that. Listen, I had a little holiday.
It's mad. I was about to say, man. I was about to say, Ish, you look a bit American, bro. I don't even know what it is.
I should have done an accent in that.
Yeah, you look African American. I don't see any Ghanaian in there anymore. It's just African American. You look like from the South.
African American. You're taking it.
Man said African American. You know, fuck it up. Big up to obviously everyone who's obviously in the chat at this present moment in time. Big up Enz, my bro. Make sure you guys obviously head over to Enzman's TV to subscribe to his channel. I know that they've done an afternoon show this afternoon, just taking a look at Curtis Jones. I think it was Carvalho and just a few other little bits and bobs. Big up Ravi, obviously in the building as always. Big up John, hey my guy Baz. Big up Gary Richards. Big up your damn selves. So, guys, obviously we're here to talk about Gini Wijnaldum. I'm gonna pop this first one obviously to Jerry because, according to Jerry, that's where his stocks, as we were talking about yesterday, this is where your stocks were. Not anymore. Obviously, he doesn't play for Liverpool, but this is where your stocks were. I know he's a player that you like. Yeah. I'll put it. Let's put it. Maybe not stock. Maybe that's the wrong word. But I know that's a player that obviously you kind of fuck with. Talk to me about Gini, bro. Talk to me about Gini.
Baller, man. Baller. I don't think people really deep how good of a baller he was. I think there's very few midfielders that can play multiple positions really, really effectively, excel in all of them, not look out of place, and do it at a consistent level, at a higher level. Now, obviously, Wijnaldum, in 2010, 2011. Wijnaldum was like a football manager's player dream, bro. Like him with the dreads and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like really, really rocking them Surinamese locks. I mean, he was really about it, and people knew. Look, he's that attacker. He's good. People tried to call him obviously the young Seedorf in terms of like his strength, his body, the fact he was able to really protect the ball. Although he did play further forward, comes to obviously Newcastle. Gets a lot of goals, and in a struggling Newcastle side, actually does really, really well. Looks one of their better players. I think he was head and shoulders above a lot of people. You could see the ability, the different types of finishes. And yeah.
Did Newcastle, just before you continue, did Newcastle get relegated that season?
I think so,
Yeah, they did.
Okay, I actually fully couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought they finished higher in the league.
No, they got relegated that season because that's the season. If I'm correct, Sissoko went to Spurs.
Okay. Right, Sissoko, that Newcastle. Yeah.
So that was the season. So yeah, man, and obviously he's come to Liverpool now. So we didn't know what type of player that was going to be. One of Klopp's first signings, signed for about, if I remember correctly, 20 million, I believe, like upwards of probably like 20, 25 million. And he was just ever present. And I think a lot of the time people don't realize when something's just always there, you don't realize how important they are until they're gone. Now, he was there when we won every trophy. When we had the comeback, he's the one that came on and kind of sparked that into life. And yeah, I think he got a lot of criticism for the wrong reasons. I think people it was a bit misconstrued because the people didn't really understand his role. They wanted a Thiago-esque type of player, or a player that's going to break the lines with his passing, and that was never his role in the team. He could have done it if he wanted to, because he went to obviously the Netherlands team and played further forward and was doing really well. But for someone that was just so consistent, was 7 out of 10 every single game, defended really well. I remember maybe twice where Gini had like a poor game where like I remember he could have taken someone down when he was running back and he didn't, and the team scored, and I think we might have lost the game or something. But these things happen, man. These things happen. But I think he was so underrated. I think he was actually probably our best midfielder. He's actually our best midfielder in terms of he was the one that linked the midfield and the attack. I remember in a back three when we first started off with Klopp, when we had loads of injuries. He was in a back three. So he played all over the place, and he was just, in my opinion, the wrong player to let go at that time if you haven't got a replacement lined up. And I don't think Liverpool have replaced that massive cog inside the engine, even though we've got all the nice flashy parts. So yeah, that's about it, man.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to kind of come to you first, is because the way that you're right, and you know what, I'll put my hands up as well. I think in that last season, as much as I wanted him to kind of stay, because I felt like we need that level of availability. But at the same time, I don't know, like there was times during that season in his last season for Liverpool, I was kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like I'm asking him to do more. But I think I'll big you up here. I think it was just more of a case of I wasn't really respecting his role in the team, to be honest with you. And especially now when I look at Liverpool, I'm like, right, you know what? We could be doing, like, forget even just the availability side of things, just his actual role in the team. I feel like we kind of missed that a little bit. Ish. Do you think it's been a case like that since he left, where it's almost like you don't know what you have until it's gone, kind of situation, where we didn't really respect Gini. As Jerry said, like, we let the wrong player go. Obviously, Klopp was big on trying to get Henderson's new deal. These times, I almost felt like he left Gini he kind of just said, yeah, just you sort out your contract deal. If you can't sort it out, then we're just going to have to let you go, blah, blah, blah. And Gini didn't really feel like he was valued. And you saw what he said. Like, remember, I'm not saying these words, by the way. Like, Gini came out and said in terms of how he felt the fans were towards him. Do you think that we all kind of were a little bit suspects of that, in terms of, we didn't know what we had until it's gone?
Of course, man. Of course. I think a lot of us were guilty of it. It was kind of a one where, like, Thiago came in, new shiny toy, like you said. We don't need Gini. Gini doesn't give us. I remember it was always goals and assists with Gini. Like that was his role in the team. Oh, he hasn't scored at. Was it that he didn't score at Anfield for like over a year or something like that? He had a mad either home record or away record. People used to bring that up, and I'm like, you're missing a point, man. You're missing a point. It's what we always say: availability being the best ability. Bro, since he's gone, we've not had one midfielder who's been a consistent fixture in that midfield. You can say Thiago's had longish spells, but for every long spell he's had an even longer spell out of the team. So it's just like, where are we going? We forget this guy excelled in the 8, excelled in the 6. And I know you said that last season he had some ups and downs as well, but I'll be honest with you, I think he probably knew he was going at least halfway through the season. At least halfway through the season, he was like, I'm off. They're not offering me the money. And the mistake we made was not offering him an extension 2 years before. Why we let him be the one to get to after the final year? Done the same with Mane as well. It's just like, that doesn't really sit right with me, because like you said, the way Klopp was moving crazy to get Hendo to sign that contract.
Bro, heaven and earth.
I think it was. Bro, coming out saying that he's basically, he's not going anywhere. I will do whatever I can to keep him. And I feel like the energy was never really like that with Gini. He was like, yeah, I want him to stay, but the club have this X, Y, Z. For me, he was on 50 bags, or was it 75 bags for the whole time he was with us? Never got an extension.
It was at 50. It was at 50.
Bro, he should have 2 years into his deal, as you would have any player who's playing every game pretty much. Every game he pretty much played.
And part of a successful team.
If 2 years in we offered him 110, we wouldn't have been in this position when he was allowed to go on a free in it. And the jump from like 75 or 50 to 110, for me, for a player like Gini, that would have been fine, innit? The fact we let it get to the final year, of course, at that point, he's going to want 150. He's going to want this and that and the other. Van Dijk's coming in, got a nice pay packet. Thiago, who has been out most of the time. You've been carrying his shit because he's been out of the team injured. He's coming in, he's earned more than you straight away, more than double. So for me, it made sense. I was never one who was like, yeah, Gini should be staying. He should just sign whatever deal we give him out of respect for the club. I was never like that because I was like, I thought the club disrespected him, to be honest. But we've seen that. We've seen since he's gone what's happened to our midfield, and it's no coincidence that since he's gone, can't string a consistent three together. The three that are playing at any time look shit. None of them look like they can stay fit for a long period of time. So it's just the proofs in the pudding in it. Since he's gone, we've lost. We can see what we've lost, and we've not got it back. The fact that we're even talking about this now, Gini replacement, 2 years he's been gone? It just says it, innit? It just says it. You've not replaced him adequately. And then even the players you bought in since, your Thiagos, your Carvalhos, even Elliott coming back from loan, it's like, come on, put these guys up next to Gini. You can see what the difference is straight away. You can see what the difference is. So, yeah, I just hope this summer we can finally try and get it right. But I don't know, man.
I mean... Do you trust Liverpool to get it right? I'll ask you both that question. Do you both trust Liverpool to get it right? Honestly, do you think that Liverpool, when I say get it right, I mean forget the type of player that we signed in terms of the name or whatever. Do you just think we'll get the quantity of players that we need to be able to fill up? Because I still feel that like we've got enough good players at the club in order for us to be able to go somewhere. Obviously, where I want to go is different from where the club are trying to go. But in terms of us trying to maybe fight for European places next season, we got enough bodies at the moment. Obviously, some are going to go. Do you think we're going to be able to add to that, or do you think it's a case of, bro, it's just going to be a typical Liverpool summer?
You know what worries me? Just quickly, yeah. We look a bit desperate already, and that doesn't bode well. The window hasn't even opened yet. We look desperate. We're going for Bellingham. We're coming out and saying, no, we can't afford him. Then it's Gravenberch. Now I'm hearing that's not Gravenberch, but it's still Mount. For me, already it's sounding like the plan's looking a bit too flimsy for me right now. It's not like these are the three players we're going for. We're not even going to... You see how we used to move before with Jota and that? When we signed them, we just moved in silence, got it done. I'm hearing too much noise right now. It doesn't really fill me with much confidence. We're moving like a Chelsea, but a budget version. But you see how Chelsea just linked with every man under the sun for certain positions. We're like that in midfield, but I'm not seeing the plan really like that. I'm hearing Klopp's getting more control over transfers as well, so that already doesn't fill me with confidence either. Like, I'm worried that the window's not open yet and the season's not even done. So that's I don't know what JJ said on that one, but for me, I'm not confident, bro.
What Liverpool did, and it was a massive mistake. I just don't understand how these clubs can't see the errors of other clubs and do the same thing. Moussa Dembele for Spurs.
Oh, defensive midfielder or midfielder.
Yeah, midfielder from Fulham, the one that we actually wanted but couldn't get because he went to Tottenham instead.
Yes.
The kind of thing for Spurs in terms of how important it was, but they didn't appreciate it.
Players that went to the game, and to be fair, I watched him live multiple times. Going to Spurs games, watched England versus Belgium. So I went to Moussa Dembele. It's so important because not only like when people talk about ball retention, the way in which Gini Wijnaldum, Moussa Dembele's did it was so good. Like the ball's always on the safe side. They never lose the ball. Always make the right pass. Decision making's on point. Win the ball really quick. Don't get done. IQ's proper high. And again, Moussa Dembele is very similar. Can play. Used to play in the 10 for Fulham. Started playing deep for Spurs. Played box to box for Belgium. Played out wide for Fulham also. These players, like, they're rare. They are rare, like, to get at a higher level. And I don't know if Liverpool can get it right because I don't know if you can find another player like that. These types of players don't come around often at all. You know what I mean? I'm looking at Partey's one as well. I know obviously he had a poor game the other day, but he's another one. He hardly loses the ball. The ball's always on the safe side, always look composed. He doesn't lose the ball. And Liverpool need to find that type of midfielder, but we're not being linked with those types of midfielders. All our midfielders are very risky. I'm running with the ball. I'm running off the ball. I'm playing first-time passes. I'm like an attacking mid, or I'm just a box-to-box. Where's the one that's going to control stuff? That for me is like, I don't know if there's a lot of... It's difficult to go and find players like that because they're not evident, they're not obvious. Like you'd have to go and like really, really look at a team and to find out, all right, who's the guy that does that for this team. And there's and a lot of the times it won't be the big name. It might not be Ruben Neves. It might be someone else in that midfield. It might be someone else that we're not looking at, just as we as fans, we were looking at Gini Wijnaldum saying, we want Thiago. So for me, it's not even about Liverpool. Do I trust Klopp to get it right? And if I'm going on this, no.
And big up Scraps, obviously. Big up Scraps in the building. Obviously, he said it the same thing. Trust Liverpool or trust Klopp?
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. It's like, and I agree with Jay. I agree with Ish as well, actually, in terms of what we're saying about Liverpool. And obviously, guys, look, at the end of the day, we come on all of these streams, whether it's on Jerry's stream, whether it's on here, whether it's anywhere, to be honest. And I know people always like, oh, yeah, you guys are, always talking a bit negatively, but the proof is always there in the pudding for you guys to see it for yourself. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, as Ish just said there, Klopp's been entrusted now. He's got a lot more power at the football club. I saw something today as well, literally 10 minutes before we came on, talking about how we're the Bayern Leverkusen sporting director. Apparently, we're not gonna get him like that. That's now not something that we're looking at. But the new sporting director that we will get in isn't going to have too much of an input in our transfer plans for this summer. So we're relying really on Klopp now.
What?
I'm being honest, because who else is there?
Wait, so we're getting someone in, but then their job starts in the next window.
So Julian Ward, I don't know when exactly his contract is going to end, but obviously he's going to leave at the end of the season. So I'm assuming that's like June the 30th. So in a couple months' time.
His next job flopped. I think I want to say Ajax. He was meant to, the next
Ajax,
club he was going to go to anyway. It fell through in it. So that already, if man can't even negotiate his own way out of the club, and we're getting a new guy, and bro, that doesn't make any sense. Why are we going to announce a new guy or bring a new guy in, but say, no, we're going to put you on ice until Christmas? What?
But this is the thing. This is where I'm baffled, because when I was reading the report thing, I was like, so we're not gonna get in a sporting director. Okay, cool. So I'm assuming that means that Julian Ward is gonna stay, because we kind of need a sporting director, because then the only other thing that we can look at is Klopp and Pep Linders are going to be the ones who are trying to do the.
But it is. Neil Jones from Goal was saying on Redmen that Klopp's the manager that's probably got the most power when it comes to transfers in the Premier League at the moment, because we're the only team that haven't got a technical director or a sporting director.
And he's been there the longest as well.
Yeah, been at the longest. And Mike Gordon stepped. He's someone that was involved in that whole thing as well. He's taken a back seat as well. So Klopp's actually going to be the one that's going to be really, really in charge of this build.
Man, I'm taking a back seat like everything's all good. Like normally in business, when everything's good, you'll be like, you know what? I'll let you have a bit more of the reins now.
Yeah.
You've done well. You can have it. The whole thing's on fire. Manager's like, yeah, you good. Yeah, cool. I'll step back. What's going on?
And this is kind of like my issue, and this is why I kind of wanted to have this conversation, because it's like we keep talking about, obviously. So I'll get it up here. So obviously, sorry, JJ, we've got Liverpool. Obviously, apparently, this is before the whole we're looking at Gravenberch. He ain't buying, ain't trying to sell, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, talking about we stepped up our interest, obviously, in Gravenberch. Look to press ahead quickly with plans to rebuild the midfield. A representative of the club was in Holland on Tuesday, so that would have been the Tuesday just gone, for talks with Gravenberch's father, who mentors the player's career. Now, I'm not going to diss Gravenberch, because I think he was a decent player when he was at Ajax. Obviously, I don't know what he's doing with himself nowadays, kind of thing, but he was a decent player. Is that the type of player that we need to be kind of bringing in to the club? Forget his age or whatever, just in terms of the player profile itself, and then remembering the type of manager we have, the type of style that we play, and the type of football that we are trying to play with this new system. Is Gravenberch a name that fills any of you two with any, I don't want to say confidence because he's super young, but at the same time, does he fill you with that kind of confidence? Like, okay, forget Gini for a minute, but because it seems like we are looking for that type of player, is he that type of player? And if he's not that type of player, what type of player is he? Jared,
from what I've seen from Gravenberch, he is someone that can go and do that. He retains the ball really well. He's strong. He comes from that Dutch schooling as well, so technically he's going to be good.
Ain't he from the same place as Gini?
Yeah. I think
Pardon?
Ain't he from the same country as Gini?
Yeah, Suriname, yeah.
Yeah, Suriname. Okay.
Yeah,
Where
all of them, by the way. All of them.
And Virgil as well. Bury them.
Yeah, Virgil, all of them.
Where is it? I fully don't know my geography. Where is that?
Caribbean.
Oh, at a small island, man. Okay.
Yeah. So all of
So
them.
they got the waves and that.
Yeah,
for real.
all of them are, and yeah, that's why they got that mad hair. That hairline's always strong on every single one of them.
Bro.
Mad, but
Gakpo is what? Gakpo's
Gakpo's Ghanaian, man. Gakpo's Ghanaian, man.
Come on, man.
He's got that McDonald's. Like, he's coming.
Hey, respect my guys, man. Respect my guys. Oh,
that's
he's got the thing that goes like that. You know, the thing that's gonna come in. And it's just, you know what? He's never gonna recede like that. He's just gonna stop there when he's at burn. He's never gonna go. It's not gonna go.
He's gonna have to cut. He's gonna have to cut his hair soon.
My corners are going as well, man. Let's peak. It happened,
bro. This Ghanaian, bro. What can we do?
He's 23. He's 23. When I was 23, my thing was patterned, bro. I don't know what
But yeah, so obviously, obviously looking at obviously Gravenberch in terms of profile, I think he's the right type of profile of player. I think, if I'm being honest, that's the market that Liverpool have actually got to look at. We're not great, like, in terms of like, we're not a big club. Let me just put it that way. Like, and what I mean by that is we're big, but not in the grand scheme of things. So when we're talking about going for your Bellinghams and your Tchouaménis, and Tchouaméni's the great example of that, we offered the same amount of money that Real Madrid did, and he just went to Real Madrid, knowing that in front of him there's still Modric, there's Cruz, Camavinga was already there, they got Valverde, we got flipping Ceballos, who was there on loan, and Ceballos is getting more games than him. So it just proves to you, exactly, and it just proves to you that like, unfortunately, like, we haven't got the pool that we think that we do.
We don't. How often do we go out and get a team's like best player from a big team? Rarely. It's either they want to go, they're falling out of favor, they've been injured. We don't go to a club and be like, "Yo, you come, you're coming."
No. Or we do that, but it's at the lower clubs. So if the player comes in the next step, but we can't attract the players like in our pool. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So we need to go down. Like, we need to go down and they're like, yeah, cool, and do our little grooming thing and show them a package. Like, example, like, I know we're linked with McAllister. For McAllister, this is a step up because he's at Brighton. Do you know what I mean? Before that, he was in Argentina. So for him, even if he doesn't go to like Real Madrid, it's still a step up for him in terms of obviously the stats of the club.
If we get him, that's what I'll be gassed about.
But the thing is, I don't like. Obviously, I'm going to speak about Gravenberch, but quickly, McAllister, I don't even think he fits our style of play.
That's what I said.
Like that. He's not strong. He's not powerful. He's more technical.
For me, he's like a Thiago-ish replacement, but we've already established that that's not really the style that suits Klopp. So
that's what I'm saying. So for me, it's like,
it doesn't make sense.
But it's like, I hear it, set pieces and stuff maybe, but it's like, is that it? But yeah, man, for me, Gravenberch, yeah, he's the right type of player, man. He's the type of player that Liverpool need to go for, cut price. And we've got a gamble, we've got a hope. So with us, we've got the dice and we're just rolling the dice now. We're not going to go and get the ready-made players like a Haaland and guarantee goals. Yeah.
Quick question. Is the price, because who set this price? Because for me, how much did they sign him for? They signed him for 25 M's. Was that free?
Set what price? For who?
Everyone's saying Gravenberch's going to be like 25 to 30. For me, if I'm buying, he must have like 4 years left on his contract. Why am I selling?
His contract runs out 2027 after Klopp leaves.
Bruv.
I think 25 million.
But do you know what it is?
Who set this price? That's what I'm confused about.
No, obviously, I don't know about the price. To be fair, it'll probably be about 30. But what I mean is that because he hasn't played, that's affected the price that they can go and charge for him. So, unfortunately, if you were obviously negotiating, you just go and say, well, I'm going to pay the price that you guys paid for him last season because we don't know what he's done yet. His price has decreased. It definitely hasn't increased. If anything, I can actually get you for cheaper because you ain't played. You made that comment in regards to Jones when we spoke about it yesterday, or like a couple of days ago. So it's, for me, it's like, yeah, cool. Like, it's sad to say, innit? But this is the market that we're shopping in, man. Rejects, people. Like Coutinho was one of those as well. Like we've got Coutinho, Sturridge. Like we're in that pool again where it's like he was a name and then something didn't work out, and we've got to grab him and hopefully we can revitalize these players. We're not going to go and get the players that are just ready-made, in my opinion. Like even McAllister, I don't think we're getting him. If we bid 60 million, like, as an example, and Chelsea bid 75, are we going to get into a bidding war with them? Of course we're not. We don't want to get in the bidding war. So then we just go, all right, we pull out, we can't afford it. And then what? That's the problem, man. That's the problem.
To the next one, bro. End up with Ward Prowse. You know, like that.
No, but I guarantee you we're going to end up with like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a Gravenberch. Mount, I don't really think now. With Lampard there, Lampard's going to groom him. So he might stay. But look, as an example, it might be Gravenberch, Mount, and then like
Nunes.
No, I don't even think it'll be Nunes. I think it will just be like some midfielder for like 10 M's from like Lorient or something. Like it will be.
See me, I don't mind that. But for me, what's concerning is that we're just shopping around everywhere right now. Like I said before, we've been linked to about 30, 40 man. None of us know that there's any concrete evidence to any of it, really. It's just better hearsay. And I know it's getting towards the transfer window, so it's normal, but not to be linked with this many players. For me, it's just like Liverpool going around, we're on a little budget thing, being like, can we undercut you for him? No, cool. All right, on to the next one. Can we undercut you for him? Everyone's been like, no, this is the price. And at no point have we been like, from Bellingham to Mount, everyone that we've been linked with, at no point have they been like, this is the price, and we've been like, yeah, cool, we're gonna pay it. I'm just hearing Liverpool like, nah, that's too much. We're on to the other one. So it's looking a bit mad right now. Already. Just
before I go and put up some stats and stuff like that between Gini and Gravenberch, obviously now we're speaking about him. I'll dive into the comments, but just to like kind of caveat what you're both saying, like to me, it just sounds like we don't seem to have like a real profile of the type of player. It just seems to be a bunch of midfielders who are, as Jerry said, it's like none of the midfielders that we've been linked to, in my opinion anyway, are midfielders of that quality level, if that makes sense. Like the quality level that we should be at, but that level. We seem to be getting the ones who are going to make that next step up kind of thing. It's almost like you being a Sunday league player and making that step up now to the national kind of leagues. It's like, okay, so you're going up to really the next level up for you kind of thing. Okay, fair enough. But you're not trying to get maybe someone who's either on your same level or potentially, if you can, higher. Like, as you said, it's Gravenberch, it's Caicedo, it's McAllister, it's Mount, it's Gallagher, it's Matheus Nunes, Madison, Tielemans, James Ward-Prowse, all of these kind of.
Do you see what I'm saying? They're all just random guys as well. Like none of them really are like, cool, we're looking for a 6. And I know that's because we need a whole pretty much revamp in midfield. But even the 8s that we're looking for, they're all different. Even the 6s,
exactly.
They're all different kind of 6s. Some of them are better suited to double pivot. Some of them are just like lone 6. I'm just like, what's going on? Like Klopp, it's looking like he doesn't really know what he's doing already from the jump, and it's just going to be another underwhelming summer if that's how it's going to roll.
He's the one that we're entrusting to potentially get this stuff right. Him and Pep Yinda. So we better pray that he's been playing Football Manager. £100 million. Quite
quick one as well, because I actually got a question. I was actually just thinking about when you guys are talking, right? These players, do you think there's a range of players? Because Klopp, essentially what he needs to do, if he's here for the right reasons and he's not just trying to buy players for himself and just kind of make himself look good and then bounce when he bounces and see the collapse of Liverpool, which I don't think he would do. Do you think he's looking to go and buy players for the next manager also? So if that's Linde's, if there's a feeling that that's Linde's, or there's a feeling that is someone like that, and he would be in discussions, the type of profile of player that we're looking to go and get might not be the player that fits necessarily what Klopp's trying to do exactly right now, a la a Gakpo, a la a Diaz, a la these types of players. But when the next manager comes in, if there's an inkling into what type of manager this is going to be, if Liverpool have got their head screwed on and they're moving in the way Brighton move and stuff, it means that when the manager comes in, he's already got a few components, only needs a couple of additions to go and make his system work. So if we're going and getting a McAllister, and we're really involved, like want to get a McAllister, Klopp maybe says, I can work with a McAllister. I can work with him. He might not be the ideal type that I want, but I can work with him, stabilize the club so that I don't leave and everything collapses. Because he did mention in one of his press conferences saying, if I had left, everyone would have said it's my fault that Liverpool are all poor. So that's why I made sure I signed the contract. So I'm here and I can help this rebuild. And essentially, that's what he alluded to. And
I thought he was capping. When he said that, I thought he was capping.
I know. I'm just putting that out there.
No. But because I saw that as well. When he said it, I was like, the logic doesn't add up. So you stayed because people wouldn't blame you. But then just do the right job while you're here. Then why are you fucking things up in the first place? Like, to me, that one didn't make much sense. But the reason why I wouldn't say he's buying players for the next manager, because I don't think Klopp knows how to have players that don't suit what his style is. You see what I'm saying? Like a Thiago, the way he's brought Thiago in, Carvalho, even better example. Carvalho's come in and it's like, you don't fit my style. I'll try you as a left winger. All right, you can't do the explosive thing. I'll try you as an 8. No, you can't do the running thing. All right, cool, you sit over there. Thiago came in, but had to change his game up completely, pretty much. Turned into some Gini regen kind of thing where he's like running about all the time. Only because he's got that much sauce that he still makes it look quite nice, but it's not as effective as he was at Bayern. I don't think any of us we can all agree on that. So for me, if he's signing players for the next manager, I'd rather he just goes now, innit? Because if it's now 2026, if you're going to sign players for the next manager, you might that just shows you that you're not really in it the way you should be. So
yeah, I just say that because when I look at these players, it's like, what is Gakpo? Gakpo's not the type of left winger that Klopp would get. Nunes ain't the type of forward that Klopp would get. Like the types of players that we went and got, like even when we went and got Bobby, when we went and wanted like someone to go and give Bobby a backup when we thought it would be that guy, it was Minamino. Now, obviously, he didn't cut the mustard, but you can see in terms of his ability and the way he moved was very similar to Bobby. Worked really hard, pressed really well, but just wasn't of that level, right? We've now brought players in that do the roles completely different. You look at even Konate as a centre-back. The centre-backs that we were getting before, all ball-playing centre-backs. We've now got a specimen of a centre-back that's not as nice on the ball. There was other options to go and get. We went and got Konate. You go and look at Tsimikas even as a fullback. He's not exactly like Robbo.
Nah, nothing alike.
They're nothing alike in terms of how they play. And it's not like we're rotating these players and we're like, Tsimikas is going to play in this game because we need some creativity and Robbo's going to play. No, he just goes and plays Robbo all the time anyway. So Tsimikas, obviously, he might go at the end of the season. But we've bought all these players that don't really fit Klopp's system or what's worked at Liverpool. And it's like we've tried to transition into this different team. It hasn't really worked out, but I'm trying to think of why that was. Because we could have easily went and got just runners. We could have easily got a winger that was just mad fast and mad direct, very similar to Mane. I know we got like a Diaz, but it's a different type of winger to Mane. Like the right winger, I know Diaz actually came on and played on the right wing in the last game, but these players are different to Salah. Do you know what I mean? They're different to Mane. They're different to Bobby. So it's interesting to go and see what obviously we're doing. But yeah.
Nah, to be honest, whilst he was talking, I was like, you know what? Maybe we did look at it like maybe there is some internal conversation that Pep Yinder's that maybe he's the guy, one of the guys anyway, that they're looking at, or someone in the similar mold to that in terms of maybe style of play and profile of whatever that we're potentially looking at when Klopp does leave. Because you're right, at the end of the day, that's the bit that's always confused me is the type of players that we're signing. I wouldn't mind Coutinho. I wouldn't mind Thiago, Carvalho, Curtis Jones even. I know we didn't sign him, but him being in the squad, Harvey Elliott and all these kind of technical, I wouldn't mind them. But you're not using them correctly. That's the bit that used to piss me off. Well, it's still pissing me off about Klopp, is that you're not using these guys properly. Like you're using them as the runners that you were obviously successful with, which is obviously I get that to a certain degree because that's your style of play and that was successful. I get that fully. But then you're not even putting in players who are actually runners. Like, but Bajcetic he kind of came into the squad. All of a sudden, he was our best midfielder, one player of the month, and all of that. I'll be real.
It's very embarrassing, you know.
He was nice on the ball and all that kind of stuff, and that part, I hear it. But he was just energetic, something we just lacked, and we just had energy. And he brought that exuberance and that energy. So straight away you were like, oh my God, he is so amazing. Look at the midfield. All of a sudden we're doing this, we're doing that. It's like, nah, all we needed was for Klopp to play whatever he was trying to play. He just needed those type of players in there. But then you're playing Thiago in kind of a different role, and Thiago's having to do something completely different to what he's actually used to doing, or was used to doing at Bayern or at Barcelona, which I never really understood. And that was the bit that Curtis Jones, you're playing him in dibby-dabby games in weird positions, Harvey Elliott, I don't really get it. And that's the thing that used to kind of piss me off, or still, yeah, like I said, still does kind of piss me off about Klopp. So Jerry might be right, boy. They might be looking at long term. So something that we probably cuss because we're like, right, we don't see no plan. Maybe they've got the plan there. Maybe they generally have a plan to say, you know what, in 2026, I think Klopp leaves. In 2026, when Klopp goes, here's your players. Here's your McAllister, who's going to be 20, I don't even know how old he is. Let's say 27 or 28. Now, yeah. He's going to be 28 in his prime. This is the type of player that you're going to want in that kind of thing. Fair enough. If obviously we don't know, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. We don't know. But if that's the case, fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to get mad at you for that. But from when we can't really see any real plan at this current moment in time, and we seem to be kind of hindering what we're doing now I'm a bit like, is there really a plan, or are we kind of stumbling along trying to see kind of how it goes and hoping that, as you said, Jude Bellingham, that's the one that Klopp really wants. Who's to say the next manager wanted a Jude Bellingham? Not every club in the world wants a Jude Bellingham, not because he's not a great or he's not a good player. He just might not fit every single team in the world. Just that their system just might not have a Jude Bellingham in there. There's other players in there. Like I look at Real Madrid and I'm like, I don't even feel like they need a Jude Bellingham. Camavinga, Tchouameni, like Valverde, I feel like that's fine. You know what I mean? Maybe if he wants to come in and be a rotation player, they don't need a Jude Bellingham for the way that they play. Do you know what I mean? There's so many other squads like that. So that's why I'm a bit like, it seems to be a mix and match kind of thing, like of the both. We're just going to dive into the comments. Guys, big up yourselves in the comments. Make sure you're liking, make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Amirali, I'm surprised City haven't been linked with McAllister. He'd be a good Gundogan replacement. This is what we're kind of saying, but bro, like, pick up your damn self. Ravi, Liverpool fans moan that FSG don't want to spend when fans mention their players they want. Oh, that's not realistic. I kind of get what you're saying, Semi. Big up Captain Sal. We are Rejects FC. I think this goes back to your comment, Jerry, about the type of players that we're obviously looking at and we're targeting, kind of thing. I wouldn't even say we're Rejects FC. I don't really look at it like that. I just think we are at the higher end of a club who's a stepping stone. I've always thought Liverpool are like that. Like when you look at Dortmund, they're at like the middle kind of, in the middle batch of stepping stone type of clubs where you're like, yeah, now go to Dortmund, play your football. It might be a weaker league, but you can go there. They develop players pretty well, and then you can move on to a Liverpool. But then Liverpool's not going to be your last stop, kind of thing. Like if you're a good player, Liverpool won't be your last stop. Like it's going to be the next step, obviously, which is the ultimate club of Real Madrid or a Barcelona. But to be fair, that's the football pyramid. So it's like, I don't think that's ever going to change. Real Madrid and Barcelona always being at the top of everyone's kind of to-do list in the kind of football career. But, you know, big up Zayn, Coutinho and Sturridge were ballers. Yeah, no, they were. I don't think Jerry or Ish was saying that they weren't good players, like, at all.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You're just shopping in a different market and you're hoping that they become those players. That's what it is, as opposed to buying the ready-made players. We're having to go and get maybe... I don't know what I know. Do is Liverpool are the type of club that would have went and purchased Mwepu from Brighton? You know, the one before he had his heart.
Oh, the one that had to retire.
Yeah. We're the type of club that will go and buy Mwepu, and then Mwepu will become the player that everyone's talking about. But he won't be the player before we get him. That's the type of team that we have been historically.
I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, I forgot about my man.
No, but it's true. It's true. Baller, yeah. That's what happens, bro. That's what happens. Like you just forget. There's pure players that I just forget that even play for Liverpool. Pure players.
Nah, that's true. If I started running through names of players, you'd be like, right, he played for Liverpool. All right, cool. Say no more. Big up Max M. Coop Miners will be a Liverpool player. Mark this. Let me know about Coop Miners if you guys think he's good and whatever. Zayn, Liverpool are moving like my mum when she goes to Tesco doing a bargain thing. Hey, don't disrespect Mumsy and I'll doing the bargain.
I was gonna say, listen,
don't disrespect,
yo. Keep your belly full on that, bro.
Yeah, I'm just about So when your belly's full at night, are you complaining or are you moaning that it's a bargain thing?
The thing is, now it depends though. What does he mean by the bargain thing? He might be getting the reduced salads and that. You know, like that, like the ones you got to eat today, otherwise they cost tomorrow.
The lettuce ain't even crunchy when you're biting into it. It's just bare soggy in that.
It's just wet, bro. It's just soggy. It's just soggy grass.
McDonald's lettuce, bro. It's mad.
Yo, you lot disrespected. Big up Scraps. Mountain Gallagher can come on when Curtis Jones is tired. Right. So you're saying Curtis Jones should stop effectively. If that's how you
work on players. I'm sorry. Mount Gallagher, Curtis Jones.
That might be the midfield we're rocking with, you know. 2 8s and a 10.
We got Ryan. I'm really liking this new system we are playing. Trent in this inverted fullback role, bringing tears to my eyes when watching it.
Can I just quickly speak on that? Sorry. Can I just quickly speak on that?
The way he rolled his eyes.
Sorry. We need to allow this. Like, he's playing well, innit? 3 assists in 2 games, sick. But we're talking like he's revolutionized the game, and we've now playing with like an extra player on the pitch. Like, bro, he's slightly playing more inverted than he normally did. But if I'm not mistaken, he's done this before. When the start of last season, when Harvey Elliott, before he'd done his ankle, Trent was coming inside, Harvey was going outside, Salah was playing higher and wider. So we're acting like this is like some new thing just because we won a game. We won a game and then had a good performance in the second half against Arsenal. Like, I feel like we are cooking this Trent thing a little bit. We're overcooking it a bit too much. Because watch next game, if we play against a team who's playing with a winger who's high and wide, watch Trent have to run outside, and then it's going to be like, oh, Trent's got cooked. Trent's out of position again. So I just think we need to just relax on this Trent revolutionizing the fullback. It's been nice, isn't it? He's played well, but we need to decide what we're doing with him. Because if we're not going to sign a right back, man just can't be playing in midfield and there's just a vacant space on the right hand side. So
what I'm saying is
that's my thing. That's my piece on it anyway.
What I'm saying is he's had 3 assists. 2 of his assists have come from the byline in the right back position. When's a DM ever in that position, bro?
But remember, this is. I'm just gonna move on. Actually, I feel like I'll save that for another day. We got Rom.
We look better. I'll say that we do look better. We look better in this new system. But
does the team look better, or is it just he looks better, but we're still shit? That's the problem. If the whole team is better, I don't think he's scoring goals now. It's not just because Trent's in that position. It can't. It's the whole team's.
Also, I don't want to sound like a hater, but did you man not clock how shit Leeds were? Like, let's be really honest about this, bro. That's one of the worst performances I've seen all season. I'll be real. They didn't look like they've been coached by anyone. Like they just looked like they had no one in the dugout. It was mad. I'm seeing man doing 1-for-1 marking and it's 5-1. Like, bro, come on, come on.
Leeds are always on some weird thing. Like I don't get them. They're such a weird team, bro. Like your whole tactical setup just seems like you're not really on doing tactics, but you got ballers in your team, bro.
You're just following a man around the pitch, forgetting the man spaces in behind. Bro, of course we look good. Of course we look good on the counter attack when they're launching 7 man into our final third. So look, we played well. We scored 6 goals. Trent's been playing better, but again, we've been here all season. 1 good game, 1 shit game. I'm watching these man on Saturday against Nottingham Forest. Please rise up because they beat us already this season. They've already beat us this season. So
if you don't come in with that good performance against Nottingham Forest, bro, it starts to get all. I would love to see what the conversation would be like if Liverpool don't pick up 3 maximum points against Forest. I would love to see what people say because, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this weekend. And to be honest, not even just this weekend, really, because I've seen Liverpool have gone on runs this season where they've won 4 or 5 games in a row, and then they've not been convincing. But people are like, oh, don't worry, we're getting a win, so it's cool, blah blah blah. Fair enough, that's calm. But then we go back to just being shit. Remember, we just came off a 5-game winless run in that game against Leeds. A 5-game winless run. We hadn't won for time. Getting knocked out of the fucking Champions League, getting embarrassed. It's one of those things. Big up, we know, man. New manager. If not, Linders might just not like. If not, Linders might just not like the players. Basically, he's being set up to fail. bro. That who knows? Because I don't know what goes through Klopp's head in terms of the type of players and all these kind of things that he's looking at. We don't know about the future and all that kind of stuff. So I think it might just be, a wait and see type of thing. Big up Ran. Liverpool are missing a Joshua Kimmich type of player. Have we ever had a Joshua Kimmich type of player? I'll ask you that, Ram. I'll fire that straight back to you. Yeah, I don't feel like we've ever even had a player really like that, to be honest. Like just a solid player. Like, yeah, he's just a solid player. I can't really even describe him any more than that. Like, he does everything solid. I don't feel like we've really kind of had that in our midfield, especially anyway. I feel like we've had midfielders who they've had their peak, and then you can see outside of that peak how bad they are performing anyway, or just not really how good they actually are. But, we'll kind of we'll wait and see. But looking ahead anyway, I got some stats, obviously, of Gini Wijnaldum versus Gravenberch. Obviously, that's one of the players, as I said, that we've been linked with and stuff like that. Let me take this comment off. So, obviously, we can see here, this is Wijnaldum's last season, by the way. Last season at Liverpool. And this is Gravenberch's last season at Ajax. So I said those are the only real ones I could compare, because when I tried to compare this season for Gravenberch, it was just looking crazy. So I said, yeah, fuck it. My apologies, Jerry. I know you're obviously hidden. We can see here, look, aerial duel success. Gravenberch was obviously performing way better than, what's his name? Wijnaldum. Ground duels contested. That was one. There's certain stats when you read these kind of things. Some of these stats are actually super irrelevant. Well, to me anyway. Like, I don't really care about them, but you put them up just to kind of compare. But some of them are interesting to see. The fact that Gravenberch was doing, by the way, this is the whole season, 240 to Wijnaldum's 161. And the fact that he won 135 and Wijnaldum obviously only won half of his, basically. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, this might actually be a player who is really about trying to get in the mix up kind of thing. And obviously his success is going to obviously be higher. Gini Wijnaldum, as I probably would have guessed, he's got a better interception rate than a Gravenberch, to be honest with you, because Wijnaldum was really, really good at that. But again, Gravenberch is only, what's that, 7 behind. So I found that kind of interesting when I was taking a look at that. But it really was the ground duels contested. I think that was the one that I kind of looked at the most, because I was a bit shocked, because I didn't really have Gravenberch as that type of player. I didn't really look at him like that. And I actually thought that when I put the stats together, I thought that Wijnaldum actually was going to come out on top. But the fact that Gravenberch did, I was like, all right, fair enough. Just obviously here, duels contested again. Gravenberch doing 294 to Wijnaldum's 237. Tackles made across the season, 47. Wijnaldum only 23. This is in his last season, by the way. I think he played like 37 or 36 to 38 games. He played almost every game in the Premier League that season. 23 tackles made across the season. I mean, that's a bit funny. Take-ons completed. Again, that's another stat that I look at, because Wijnaldum, as Jerry said, for the Netherlands, playing in an attacking area, I reckon that number, if they added that into this, if I was able to add that into this mix, I reckon that would be higher. I reckon that'll be a lot higher, because I feel like when he plays for the Netherlands, he's got that freedom to be able to do so. But when he's playing for Liverpool, obviously he doesn't, that's not his role within the team. So I'm looking at Wijnaldum, I'm looking at Gravenberch. They're quite similar in certain things, but in specific areas, I'm like, okay, Gravenberch is kind of coming out on top in certain little instances. Aerial duels contested, 76 to Gravenberch is 54. I found that funny, because I'm sure Gravenberch is taller than Thing, but who knows, Wijnaldum might just have a really good leap on him. Aerial duels 1, obviously Wijnaldum is coming out on top-ish. When you look at that, is that a midfielder? Again, we're comparing it to a Wijnaldum because they're quite similar in terms of the roles that they played when obviously Gravenberch was at Ajax and obviously Wijnaldum when he was at Liverpool. Are those kind of stats good stats for you to see when you're trying to compare the type of player that we're potentially looking for in the future?
Yeah.
Would you like them?
The stats are good. Obviously, I think with players from the Dutch league, it's been semi hit and miss in the Prem. For every Gakpo's coming in, I like Gakpo. He's coming in. He's done well, in my opinion. He's done well in a shit team. I think if he came into a team, say he came into our team last season, I think he could have had a similar impact to like a Luis Diaz, but with better output. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's been hard for him. But then you've got the likes of your Antonys and your Sanchos who come in and they looked a bit indifferent. So there's always a bit of, I don't want to say Dutch league tax, but there's a bit of, you got to take a bit of a pinch of salt. The stats are good. The stats are good. I like it. But again, my only reservation is that we've had to go back to the season before last. What's man been on recently? That's what do you see what I'm saying? That's where I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's nice, but I'd much rather we're signing him off the back of battling it up in the Bundesliga this season. And we're like, we can see the stats in real time. You see what I'm saying? Last week, we can say, boom, he played this game against XYZ, had a great game. We can kind of build off that. So for me, that's already a bit spooky for me, but it looks good. It looks good. It looks good. But also, again, we're comparing his best season to Gini's worst season. And it's not like he's clear with Gini. Because I would say that Gini's last season for us was by far his worst season. His head wasn't really
good. So?
We had all the injuries as well. Don't forget as well, man was playing DM for most of the season as well, with Henderson and Fabinho behind him.
Did he play? I feel like he played centre back at once or twice in that season, bro.
He must have.
I'm
pretty sure Hendo, Fab.
He did.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Again, we're comparing his worst season to Gravenberch's best season, and yeah, his stats are better, but it's not like he's clearing them off the chart in every category. So I'm just like, it's nice, but nothing's really blowing me away, to be honest. Nothing's really making me think, yeah, he's the guy to come in and take Gini's role. But yeah, it's all right. For me, the most important thing is how fit he is. And I think his fitness record is actually better than I thought it was. Because I remember checking up, he's not really had too many bad injuries. So yeah, listen, if he comes in and Klopp's like, this is the guy I want from the jump, then he'll go with it. But I'm not sitting there like, yeah, we've got an answer to all our problems. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle for me, but it's what it is.
Nah, I feel you. Big up Ravi. I agree with this. Stats are well and good, but the eye test is better to judge him on. I agree with it in terms of, yeah, maybe just more in terms of
really watching this season.
This season, I'll keep it a buck. I've seen him once this season, and he was coming off the bench.
Yeah, so we gotta go some kind of something, because at the moment man's a ghost right now. It's like comparing Carvalho to someone like you don't really have anything to go by. So we need to see stats. But I like, from what I've seen of him, I like the way he plays. He's got technical ability. He's not going to be hoofing it about like certain man that we've got in midfield at the moment. So at least I can say ball retention is nice. He might look all right in the eye. He's fit most of the time, and the stats are decent. But I don't know, JJ. G as well? What are you guys like? Are you like sitting there thinking, yeah, this is it? This is it. He's kind of thing.
Any player that we get now, I'm not like, oh yeah, this guy's it. It's more, all right, surprise me. Let's see what it is. Yeah. It's like when we got Sturridge, I wasn't like, yeah, we got Sturridge. Are we going to be?
Nah, definitely not like that.
It was just, all right, we got that brother. I remember I watched him on Bolton in the FA Cup semi-final. I was like, all right, that brother, cool.
Even when Salah, him and Jack Wilshere.
Yeah,
that's the Daniel Sturridge I remember. Like that season.
Yeah, him and like when Coutinho came, I'm just like, all right, then let's see what he's about. When Gini came, I was like, all right, let's just see what he's about. Then, like all these players that we're talking about, I was never like, oh yeah, this is the brother. Like the only brother that I was like that about.
You gonna say Verge?
No, with Verge, of course, but it was more. The person that I was like, yeah, and it's mad to say. I'm not gonna lie, it was Andy Carroll, man.
Thank you, Jerry.
I thought
the ones we get gassed about, more
we're cooking. I was watching compilations of him. Well.
All the ones I get gassed over, they end up even weird one, but Minamino, I was like, bro, we've got a gem here. We've got an absolute gem, 7 million. I was like, what? Bro, this guy's gonna be cold. So maybe a bird as well that I'm not too gassed at him, because even like if he started Bellingham, the pressure will be so much on this one guy to carry the midfield for the next 10 years, and that it might be too much. So it's best to come in under the radar, not too much expectation, and you go from there.
Sorry, let me just before you go, Jerry. Yeah, you just said it there, Ish. Why does everyone think that we signed Bellingham. Brother's gonna stay here for 10 years. I don't get it. Like, what players stay in
that is the dumbest saying in football. We're set for 10 years. Bro, you know how many
I hate that.
We're set for like 3, bro. We're 3.
Like 3 is like we're like, if we can get 3 years out of Bellingham and he hits like 20, what's he, 19, so like 22, 23, I'm like, all right, cool. We got good use out of Donny. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy. But man, I'm talking about he's gonna be over 10 years.
It's worse when it's like a centre back partnership as well. Remember Guardiola, people are saying, yeah, we get him and Kanai, our centre back. Bro, one player staying for 10 years is, yeah. Do you think 2 Dons are going to stay for 10 years at Liverpool on some dibby P's? They know that there's PSGs and Roma. Just like, please, like, let's be honest, man.
That's why I just like when I see people say it, and then this is why and I think a lot of people use that as a caveat to say this is why they believe he's worth it. Obviously, I get the market. Obviously, Anthony will cost like 100 M's, Mudryk will cost him like 80. I get all of that. So when you're trying to compare it to those type of players, I get why you might look at maybe from that aspect. But then some people are trying to use the whole, yeah, he's 19. That's a 10-year. I'm like, okay, first and foremost, Donny's not staying there for 10 years because Liverpool, in my opinion, listen, I hope it changes, but I've waited 30 years and it's never done. So I doubt it's going to change soon. Liverpool ain't going to be one of them teams that are always going to be winning like that. So when you're not one of them kind of teams, eventually, I mean, like, you're never going to be like, I don't think in the next 10 years, Liverpool are going to be like what I saw Manchester United like for the last like 20 years of my life. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's
it's one of 2 things in it. Either you stay dominant and you win, you're a team that wins back-to-back titles for a sustained period, or the player falls off like a Lallana and they just stay for 10 years because it's like, oh shit, they're still here kind of thing. You're not going to get a guy who's going to be at his peak level for 10 years and we're going to be winning bare titles. And it's not going to happen. We've never been that club. So I don't really know where that idea's come from, where Bellingham's going to be here, 6 Premier Leagues, 3 Champions Leagues, like a Rio Ferdinand kind of thing. Bro, either he stays and we're washed and we're just washed together and he's doing up Europa League with us for ages. And it's like, all right, cool. You're loyal, but it's kind of on you kind of thing. Or he's going to get 4 years in. Bro, exactly.
Up to that kind of standards, bro. Like, it's not easy.
Or gets the 4 years in and he just bounces and he's like, you man are not on my level anymore. I've outgrown you. So either way,
he's not staying
for 10 years in. Bro.
Always, bro. I never understood it. But like, yeah, I think, and like I said before about the Premier, I think someone mentioned it before about clubs and stuff like that when Jerry was speaking about like the step up and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, we have to remember the football pyramid, like in the world. Real Madrid and Barcelona are literally the top clubs. Like that is where you go to kind of potentially complete football, so to speak, in terms of going there will enhance you winning a Ballon d'Or, you winning Champions Leagues and stuff like that. It's just how it is, unfortunately. I don't see that ever change, especially the fact that Real Madrid are clear when it comes to Champions League titles and stuff like that. Until someone is able to break that or win more than them, bro, Real Madrid are going to be clear. And at the end, that's like the royal club. Like that's that's Spain's club almost. So for you to be able to topple that kind of dynasty, that kind of infrastructure, I can't ever see that like that. And they'll never come to a stage where, even when they've been shit, I don't see them coming to a stage where they're going to drop off so much, even like a Barcelona. Barcelona have gone through like a couple years where they're kind of meaty. All of a sudden now, looking like they're going to win La Liga. That means they're going to be in the Champions League next season. Now they start to build again from there. They've never really fallen off completely where you're like, Barcelona are coming like, I don't even know, like a Everton, where Everton used to be something in the 70s and 80s and that, and now they're just fighting relegation today. That's never going to happen with a Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I think people need to understand also the pyramid in football. It's unfortunate and I don't like it, but obviously it is the way it is.
Levels, man. Levels.
Just quickly, so another player, obviously we spoke about him a minute ago, Caicedo. Before I get the stats up and stuff like that, what are you guys saying about a Caicedo? I know obviously he's one of those players, I guess, where you might be like, see what he can do, but is he a player that you wouldn't mind seeing at the club? Like in a general sense kind of thing? Chat to me, man.
Yeah,
it depends on that piece for me.
Yeah, I'll give you a number. I'll just give you a number. 80 million.
Nah.
I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not that. He's proper good. He's good.
Mm.
But for me, again, the sample size isn't big enough.
Mm.
And then I'm not moved by him like that.
I hear.
Like, I feel like if Brighton found him for like 8 million, there must be the equivalent of him. Like, he reminds me of what like Jefferson Lerma was doing when Bournemouth first came to the Prem and they signed him.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot.
I hear it.
But
like,
you know,
yeah, like,
or like Ndidi. You see when Ndidi was at Leicester and he was like, he's good, he's 30, but
I think Ndidi is just that bit better. Like, if they're at their best.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, like Ndidi. There was a time when I was like, well, you know what? Ndidi is a problem. You know, like he's a problem.
For me, the price was always mad because I think then it was like 70 M's, and I was like, bro, you can go and get one of these Nigerian dons from France, bro. La Havre, one of them teams, like L'Oreal.
I told you, L'Oreal.
They got them man. They got them man there. Like, I'm even seeing like Enzo Lefebvre at the moment. He's the kind of player is like, yeah, he's sick, but he's one that they grab for like 2 million, so we should be getting paying 20 million. I'm not hearing 60 million for these kind of guys or 80 million for Caicedo. For me, that's crazy, man. 80 million.
But do you see how like, look, bro? Listen, I'm still annoyed we paid 65 for Nunes, so don't worry about the 80 million. You see when we look at like top clubs here, and someone even posted this out today. Top clubs always seem to be able to get certain players at cut price deals. So how Bayern was able to get a Gravenberch for 20 million, for example, as an example, kind of thing. But it always seems like top clubs are always able to pinch these like decent like young players more time, but just good players in a general sense at a cut price deal. Whereas we're in a situation where our cut price deal is getting Cody Gakpo for 37 million and being gassed like, rah, we were able to get Cody Gakpo. Come on, G, like really? Like is that what we're doing here? Like kind of thing. Why is it we don't seem to be able to? I guess it's because we haven't really got a squad, a good quality in the entirety of the squad. It's just more of an 11 who are good, and the rest are kind of just meaty. But when I'm looking at these top Bayern Munich, even PSG, as dead as they are in the Champions League, PSG. When I'm looking at Real Madrid, as Jerry said, bro, they got Ceballos just chilling there. I know the name. I don't think they bought him, but they've got Ceballos who just chills there. But he's calm to come on, do his thing, whatever the case might be. And they've got other little players that they've been able to dot around. When they got Valverde, they got him for like 6 million. They got Casemiro for 6 million from Porto. Like these kind of deals, I don't even understand. Like, how are you able to go out there, get these type of players on chicken change? But we're literally sitting here saying, all right, so what? Are we going to get Mount for 60 M's, or should we just dead that deal and try and get?
Hold on, Casemiro was 6 million from Porto.
Bro, he was 6 million, bro.
Yeah, he's cheap, bro.
It was 6 million, bro. This is what I'm saying. This is what I don't understand. Remember, this is Real Madrid. This isn't like Brighton, where you're like, right, they got Caicedo for 4 million. What a great, bro. They got him for chicken change.
You know what?
And this is what I don't understand.
You know what I think it is? Because we're so like desperate in how we move in the market. For us, I always feel like what we need is so obvious because we let one position get so desperate. It's like, all right, we need it. We need a midfielder in the summer. Clubs know they can add an extra 10, 15, 20 million. Either we say we're going to pay it or we don't. On to the next one. With clubs like Real Madrid, they're coming to Porto for like 6 million for Casemiro. They don't really know that. They don't know what his value is to Real Madrid in it because their teams are stacked. With us, if we go for midfielder this summer, they know that we're absolutely desperate for whichever player it is. That's why we're moving already. Like we're kind of just shopping around anywhere. So it's just like, for me, it's like if we let situations get like this, you're more likely to get booked by other clubs if they know that you're coming. Like the centre back thing, we went to Leipzig for Kanai in the Jan. They were like, no, we know you need a centre back. Offered crazy money. They were like, cool. If you don't want to pay it, wait till the summer. Same with Van Dijk. We do overpay a little bit sometimes because they know that we're desperate for these certain players. So like, it's just like any midfielder we go for in the summer, I feel like I'm not going to be happy with the fee. I know it's not my money, but because of how FSG move, we know we have to move like accountants as well and be like, all right, cool, is this going to add up? Because I know if we've only got 200 M to spend in the summer, I'm not cool with spending 80 of that on Caicedo personally.
No, of course.
Because I know we need another 2-3 man on top of that, just in the midfield. So, but it's if we let ourselves get into these situations. But yeah, Caicedo, I like him, but nah, he kind of does what Gini does, but with less sauce. It looks a bit. doesn't look quite the same. And I'm not paying 80 M's for that, man. I'm not paying 80 M's.
No,
80 M's, I've said this before. Bro, for 80 M's in midfield, I want double figures goals and assists. I'm sorry, I want double figure or you're like
I'll keep it a buck. I'll keep it a buck. You don't even have to get me that because Modric doesn't get me bare goals and assists, but I'll pay 80 M's for Modric to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of
that's been my argument even when we're talking about some of these players like Bellingham for 150 million. What does he do? Is if he's just a box to box man, and big up to the Armchair Gaffers, because I was actually chatting to Scorch about it. He even deeped them was that you can't be paying 150 M's for a box to box. That's brazy.
For us as well. If it's Chelsea, you can say they've got bare piece. For Liverpool, that's mad.
But think about it. What player that's just a box to box and that's what he offers? Doesn't get you spectacular goals, doesn't win you games, doesn't control the midfield. What midfielder that's just a plain box to box goes for 150 M's? The box to boxes that go for that P are like your Zidane's when you play box to box, maybe a Yaya Toure, maybe you got a Matthaus. Big up to what's it called? Ram as well. I know he's in the chat. He's gonna love that one. Gerrard, like these players are like they're unicorns. Like I'm gonna keep saying this, but like a box to box that's winning you games all the time. He's just a box to box like Rice. But that's my point. He's saying Gerrard, that's it. So what? You're paying 150 M's for someone that's just gonna run. Like you can go and find someone cheap to go and do that, man. I said Jefferson Lerma does it, bro.
What would Gerrard be worth in today's market, though? Because if we're talking 100, upwards of 100 for Bellingham, yeah,
250.
Bellingham. I'm sorry, yeah. Like, I'm not even trying to cap now. We're not getting him, but for me, how can I put this? If Gerrard put in a Bellingham performance, you'd say Gerrard's had a bad game today, or he's had an average game, and that's like a good performance for Bellingham. Do you see what I'm saying? So for us to be spending that money on him. Bro, Gerrard must be 200 straight up. Obviously,
we go relative to context of time and inflation and fees and that. Yeah, you're talking. How much was it? How much was Neymar? No. How much was Mbappe?
180 or something, 185 or something. I want to say.
Yeah, and then so Neymar
they cook the book differently. I don't even know how much they probably pay like 400 for him or something.
Brother, these Fugazi clubs and that. But when and you know what, Ram, we're thinking along the same line, because I was like, it does depend on which Gerrard are you talking about, because Gerrard had a peak, just like everyone else. Everyone has their peak, and then everyone has their kind of down period kind of thing. He had a peak where maybe the years that he was coming second or third or whatever it was
I'll say he had two peaks, you know. I'll be real. I said,
you think so?
You can say 04 to 06 Gerrard, yeah, when he was just box to box, doing an absolute madness, like clutch goals from 30 yards, this and that, the other, defense, attack, playing all over the pitch. But then you had a little 08 to 09 Gerrard when he was playing the 10 behind Torres, and he was just doing a 10. He wasn't really up and down as much. He was more just linking up with Torres, kind of like what De Bruyne's doing with Haaland at the moment. You're not really interested in like the defensive side of the game. Bro, you could kind of say that for those two little periods, he was one of the best midfielders in the world, in two kind of different roles. So, bro, I don't know what he'd be worth today, man. I don't know, but for me to say a guy's worth 150 just for doing like box to box, like JJ was saying, that's kind of wild still.
Just quickly, Ish, if you can, yeah. Sorry, Ram. I literally just saw your message now, but I can't get it up basically because I'm on the phone. If you can send in that Liverpool chat the StreamYard, just send it to Ram.
Oh yeah, I'll do that now.
Love. And then obviously Ram, if you want to jump in, you can jump in. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it does depend. Like as Ram's saying here, obviously 06 Gerrard, maybe 250 poster boy for Adidas, big moments and finals, Champions League final would inflate his price 100%. And I think that's what it is. Like it would depend. Players like I actually think Gerrard will cost more than Lampard. I don't even think Lampard will cost as much, you know. But to find a midfielder like Lampard, maybe, to be fair, maybe
man's getting 20 goals a season.
But who's getting more than Rob that time? So you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I'm doing him a bit of a disservice in terms of the type of midfielder, you know, that he actually was. But yeah, I think when you're looking at again, everything is relative to price and inflation and all these other kind of like various different things. Like context. Certain players get sold for this and for that, and I guess other clubs look at certain deals and then they start saying, "Well, hold on, if Anthony, they shouldn't, but cool. If the marketplace is a player like Anthony can go for 100 million euros, and a player like Mudryk can go for 85 or whatever million euros that he's going for, maybe Dortmund are looking at it and saying, well, then Jude Bellingham, and obviously remember, they also know he's English. So straight away, they know about English tax already. They've done it with Sancho. So they know Wagwan when it comes to them, man. Finesse. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So they understand that to a degree of like, okay, well, if these man can kind of, you know, charge, or you know that these kind of would I say players are going to go for that amount. Big up Ram, by the way. I can see Dortmund's, you know, asking for quite a lot of money when it does come to a player like a Jude Bellingham, and I understand why they're asking so much. But as Jerry said before, and as Ram even mentioned in the comments when we're talking about like a Caicedo and stuff like that, are these players even? We don't know. Caicedo might be as good as Basuma. What's Basuma doing these days? Nothing. Your man's just chilling.
If you cast your mind back a year ago, people were talking like Basuma was like people talking about Caicedo right now.
Facts.
60 M's, 70 M's.
And like, look, I respect.
And Tottenham we thought, right, Tottenham got a gem here, boy.
Yeah, and it was relatively low money as well, 25 M's, which was like a bargain at the time. But like, you talk about what has he really done on the international stage? Like I know he plays for a relatively low side. He had a decent World Cup for Ecuador, but has he had any standout moments? So I'll give you an example. Luis Diaz had so many standout moments for Colombia, especially in Copa America. That's what inflated his price to around about 55 mil. Originally was on about
Champions League as well against City.
Champions League, where he scored against City. He did a madness against us. Like he had so many moments. Caicedo has barely had those moments. How old is Caicedo as well?
21. Yeah, I want to say 21.
So maybe the age does play a part in the inflated price tag. The younger you are, the higher the price. But like, if you're gonna spend 90 mil on a guy, like I'd rather get on someone who's more or less a little bit older, been there and done it, and has experience within the big games. And Caicedo, relatively speaking, how many big games has he played? And I'm not talking about big games for playing against a Man City when you're playing for Brighton. I'm talking about playing against Man City when you're in a potential title race. Facts. Has he been in a situation where the pressure's on you and people are expecting you to put in the performances to win trophies, the big trophies as well? Maybe we might see it because they're playing in the FA Cup semi-final. I think.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
United. So I think this will be a big test to see what he's all about, whether he can cut the mustard to an extent. But yeah, he took about 90 mil for a man. I'm when I say 90 mil, I'm thinking of people like Tonali, Barella, De Jong, Kimmich. I mean, Kimmich I'd say is worth more because he's got a CL.
Yeah, but look at the profile of player. look at the type of player that we're talking about. Play it like Tonali. I love Tonali. I've always just so when he was at was it Brescia or however you say it. I used to always think like this is a player who's going to go on to do something. I just don't know how far that's going to be because he moved to AC Milan. But even De Jong as well. De Jong, very very good player. But Kimmich, that's the one out of the three that you mentioned. I'm like, if you told me tomorrow Liverpool were going to spunk 90 million, for example, on Kimmich, and you told me, you can only buy Kimmich, but then we can only get one midfielder outside of that, I'll say, all right, calm. Like, I'm not going to bat an eyelid at that because you're talking about one of the best players. Forget even that he can play midfield, he can play right. One of the best players in world football. You're talking about him coming to the club for 90 million. Cool, I'll take that.
I said this last season. Like people are saying Barella guarantees success, Bellingham guarantees.
I don't feel like they do.
I'm like, bro, it's only been one season where people really talk about Barella. I know he had a bit of a good period when he was, I think it was at Cagliari. Was he? So he had a decent time there, and obviously Bellingham been making a name for himself at Dortmund. But I'm like, if you want a guy that guarantees success, it's Kimmich. Kimmich as a player, tell me one thing that he's not good at.
Like, isn't that kind of like?
I rate him, man.
He's box to box. He's box to box, but excels in at least one area that is important: defending, covering your lines and intelligence within the game. He covers that. That's the difference between a box to box who is just a general box. I don't like to put names out. So back in the day, Thurston Frings was a typical box to box. You get what I mean? Like, solid player, a very good player to have. And Germany was a very functional player, but he wasn't a Ballack. He wasn't a Gerrard. He wasn't that guy. He was just a very, very good player. And at this moment, Bellingham, granted, he's still relatively very, very, very young. But we are going to get someone like a Thurston Frings instead of a Steven Gerrard or a Ballack. Maybe in a couple years' time, when he shows us a little bit more what he's about, then maybe we could have those conversations about whether he's like a Ballack or a Gerrard. But at this moment, we're playing a risk and banking on something that we haven't seen yet. And I've said this before. I've said this to you guys. He doesn't remind me anything like Steven Gerrard. Like
I don't know where these Steven Gerrard comparisons keep coming
even
from.
then, he's not properly box to box. Like, if he could go up and down the field, but is he really box to box? Like JJ, is he that proper box to box? Because my man Sally Özcan and Emre Can cover him a lot. You got two defensive-minded midfielders next to him, which gives him the license to go forward. So is he really, really box to box?
Yeah, but
like the box to boxes that we know.
Yeah, I know. But then he's not a 10, though, is he? And like what he does, to be fair, majority of the time, is he goes and pops it off to Chan or pops it off to someone, and then he goes and just stands in line with the striker. And waits for to come
he makes that run forward. Yeah, he just makes that. But he doesn't score enough goals like the Frank Lampard.
Exactly. And that's why I go back to when I was talking about Dele Alli, and I was saying when Dele Alli was doing that at his age,
he was better than him, much better than him.
Listen, Dele Alli, I beg, and I was big up to Ryan because I actually having this convo with him. I sent him a clip of that, and he didn't even respond to it. Go watch Dele Alli when he won Young Player of the Year. It was ridiculous.
Was it 16, 17?
People
they had the kick with the little thing going down there.
People compared him to Gaza. That was the level that he was setting.
Hey, I feel sorry for Dele Alli, you know. Don't he just like he was?
I actually feel bad for him. I feel bad. Yeah. Something must not be right. Something must not be right.
Yeah,
hold on. Has Trent won Young Player of the Year?
Yeah, I think he won it 1920.
I think so.
I think the season we won the league.
I'm gonna say he has won.
Are you sure Foden didn't win it?
But then I'm also thinking we won the league twice though. Someone in the chat let us know that Trent won the Young Player of the Year.
Yeah, he won it when we won the league. He won it.
But that's what we're talking about then. And he was in the worst team. He was in a team that didn't win anything. Finished fourth, I think. Like, it was a ridiculous season he had. And listen, if we were trying to go and sign Bellingham, like if Dele Alli was doing that now, how much is he going for then? If Bellingham was 150, we're talking him like he's trumping everyone. Like in that list, you know, we had that list of Gavi, Pedri, Bellingham, Enzo.
Oh yeah.
He's trumping all of them, of them.
Because he was showing that he was able to do it at such a young age. He started playing for England. And even for England, you could tell, like, they were like, yeah, we need to get this guy into the squad, like, somewhere, whatever position. But it's just England, I didn't feel really had a space because of how England play and stuff like that at that time. Didn't really have a proper space for someone like a Dele Alli. But now you're right, 100%, bro. Like, when I'm looking at Dele Alli and I'm thinking, you guys are talking about Bellingham costing 130 M's, brother. So what would have Dele Alli have cost then? Because that would have then, if you're saying 130 M's, Dele Alli had to have been 200 million, just by default, because he was a way better player in what he was actually doing. I know they play different-ish kind of roles, but come on, bro.
But Ram makes essentially the same. They're essentially the same position.
Yeah, nah.
Of all the midfielders, Dele Alli was the most advanced of all the midfielders also. Dad Moussa Dembele, Dad Eriksen, and he was the one that was always the most advanced.
How much would Raheem Sterling have cost in 2013-14?
Raheem Sterling 13-14. Brother, you're spending 100 M's minimum.
Yeah,
minimum.
He won the Golden Boy Award. And people then was comparing him to John Barnes, bro. John Barnes.
Nah, man, that's lazy analysis. That's lazy analysis.
I know,
John
bro. I know.
Bro,
The way he was moving, the way he was playing, bro, he was 30.
In it.
The handbags.
I like Sterling as well. Let me just get that. I like Sterling as well. But
you think John Barnes would have ever permed his hair like that? Had rollers in his hair?
Yeah. 14, 15. I don't know what that hairstyle was like. He was going to the wrong barbers. He needs to come back to Northwest London and get patterned up in holes.
He was going to the Yardman barbers, man. The brothers were coming up from Jamaica.
It was the Merseyside Yardman. It wasn't the young.
I was about to say it's the Merseyside Yardman. This one's like the London.
That's the Merseyside Yardman. Looking like Trent. That's a Merseyside Yardman.
Crazy,
though.
Yeah, look at the dusty headband that you've got on, bro. Like, you weren't getting the Holsden, the Willesden. Like, I needed to go to Holsden High Street and get that, just your fade, bro. Like, now he's all growing out his hair. He had whatever he had in his hair before. I see him in training the other day. He just let his hair. I'm like, bro, just keep it like that, bro, man. You just need to. Your football's been shit recently, but nah. A Sterling and back then, easily 100 M's. As you said, Golden Boy as well. Nah, you're costing over 100 M's minimum. How much should we sell it for?
40.
Like 50, 50. I thought it was like 54 something.
Right.
No, 40. It was 40.
Wasn't he our top goal scorer the following season?
Yeah, but he was top goal scorer of like 8 goals though, man.
Nah, it was
Coutinho. That was the season after Suarez. That was like Ricky Lambert.
I swear it was Coutinho that season that had the goal most.
I swear that was Lambert, Balotelli, and them man still.
Yeah. That was that season.
No, it
wasn't after Suarez, isn't it?
Yeah, when
he was on like 7 goals.
Markovic.
Yeah.
No, it was
a kit. It was a kit with all the lines. The Warrior kit with all the lines on it.
Yeah, the yellow one. The yellow one.
Oh, was it Gerrard?
It was Gerrard who was top goal. He was shit.
Gerrard from Penn.
Gerrard from Penn.
And Sterling had like 8 goals in the league, and he played all season up front. And I was like, this brother's washed. This is when I was saying, I was like, I want Ibe. I said, I need Jordan Ibe playing because at the time Ibe was showing a bit more like, cool, you're a man, like. You're striking the ball better. I'm seeing you body, man, and you're like 16. I'm like, cool. Sterling was just, man. I don't know. At that time, I was like, you know what? Good riddance as well. That's how I was feeling. I was like, good riddance.
Well, if Sterling stayed at Liverpool, he'd be rubbed, you know. I don't want to say Pep made him into what he is, but I think Pep made his career last longer than it did a little bit.
He changed the style of player he was because we tried to make him into like a very orthodox winger, grabs the ball, takes people on kind of thing. I don't think he would have excelled as a player like that. I think Pep saw what he was good at. He said he had good movement, incredibly quick, and he could get in the right areas. Just need to focus on that finishing. And yeah,
to be fair, he would have been all right, but it would have just peaked mad early. It would have been just like Aaron Lennon and that.
Yeah, literally. I was just trying to think of that.
It was peak. It was peak.
Lennon and Walker.
Who was it?
Respect Aaron Lennon.
Was it Evra? He used to twist up Everett every time they played each other.
Man.
Bro, when you had this thing, when you had the thing, and it came across.
Oh, he's over the 2
I thought that was hard. I can't even lie. I thought that was hard still.
Listen, man. Look, we've had some funny plays, but I think what we're trying to even get to. Big up Adrian 90, the 49 million to City. Okay, so just under 50. Cool, fair enough. But I think what we're trying to say is that look at the type of players that we're talking about, and this is why when you're talking about a Jude Bellingham, nobody's saying he's a shit player. I don't think I've heard one person say that. But you're trying to tell me that, or convince me that this guy is worth over 120, 30 M's. Brother came from Birmingham and is now at Dortmund. He ain't pulling up any trees. He ain't doing anything where I'm like, you know what? This is definitely a player you need to sign for 100, especially for Liverpool and with how our finances go and how we actually spend money and stuff like that. Even if I was at Chelsea, the only time I probably would have thought about it, and I can see why they would probably go for an Enzo, because he just seems to be obviously World Cup winner, and obviously his price was already set because of the release clause and stuff like that. But even when I look at someone like an Enzo and I watch him play at this current moment in time, Chelsea are shit. But when I watch him, he seems to be an experienced type of player in the role that he's kind of doing. Bellingham's still young. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He's still 19. So trying to see him spending that type of money, I'm kind of just like, I don't really know about all of that. Like, I would need to have all midfielders already, and you're just picking up Bellingham because you can. Like, oh yeah, we need a midfielder. Let's just buy Bellingham. We're good to go, but we're already set in the midfield department already. and we don't need to worry about anything else. But hey ho, at the end of the day, we're looking at Caicedo, we're looking at, players like Gravenberch, we're looking at players like Mount, Gallagher, Mateus Nunes, Ruben Neves, who's the guy from Lazio?
Milinkovic-Savic.
Milinkovic-Savic. I see that was a name that popped up. What do you guys think of him? I've not seen too much of him, so I'm not going to guess it. But if anyone else has,
I remember at the start of the season, he was on a mad one. He was scoring a lot of goals, getting a lot of GA dominating midfield. But after that, it was just it's been cold.
Do you know what it is? He's a very technically just very good. He's like I have to explain it. Like, imagine Lewandowski, but just in midfield. So he's not going to get best. Like, obviously, Lewandowski's a striker, but what I mean by that, he's got that type of technique. He sets the ball really well, strikes the ball really well. He runs a lot, but like he's not doing step overs and nuts in you, and he's not that type of midfielder. He's not like a mad dribbler, but he's just technically good. But he's big though. He's
just got that long
4, 5.
Has he got those long flailing arms of that like lanky sort of frame that way? Whenever like Lewandowski shoots, he opens his entire body up just to curl it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. When you see him strike the ball, he's just a presence. He's just a big guy, innit? He's just a big guy. I mean, it will be good in terms of like winning headers and stuff, and having like from set pieces, you just be a problem. But at this point, it doesn't matter. At this point, it just doesn't matter, man. It's like run the roulette. Get the scouting report up and just look who you can pick up on the cheap. That's it, man.
Well, JJ, this is the thing, right? I've been looking at so many of these players that are available, but their price has just gone up now. They had like Kefren Thuram's price has doubled now. But we could have got him for 27 mil. Now we're gonna have to pay around about 50 to 60 mil for him. Like,
it's gonna be interesting.
Just go and get them, innit? Just go and get the man. Like, this is the thing. We leave it late. We end up in a situation, but just stop talking about things and stop going from one guy to the next guy. We're moving kind of dusty right now, man. Just say, don't even say. Just. I don't want to hear anything come out of our club right now. We're not hearing stuff about other clubs like signing 20 man or in for 20 different names.
It's true,
Just go and get the players, bro. Just go and get the players, and when it's done, I want to see man holding up a shirt like that, and that's it. Keep it moving. Move on to the next one. Us is like we just dilly-dally around things for so long, man.
What I don't get is, especially now when the season's done, why can't we just do the same thing that Chelsea did with Nkunku and just sign players? So
Jerry is like you read my mind.
So do you know what I mean? July 1st comes and it's like, yeah, he's already in the door. Like, I don't want to exactly everything's sorted. Why we do it? This is my point. Klopp is going to need loads of time to get them to understand what's going to happen now. Is these players are going to come in, and if they don't pop off, everyone's going to go and tell us, oh, but Klopp needs time because they need to adjust to the league. They need to adjust to the new team. All these types of caveats are going to come out. It's going to be another season where we've wasted Virgil, wasted Salah, wasted all these players. And it's just going to be a shit show. I just don't know how this works. Man.
But you know what? I don't give the club any sort of a blight this summer. It's because for once, we actually know who's leaving as well. We're in a situation where there's 4 or 5 contracts up in the summer, and we know for a fact Keller is leaving, for example. So we know from the jump, 5 men are going out the door. So we know we need to bring in another 5, like for like kind of thing. So there should be no, we didn't know if this one was leaving. This one didn't really leave. Bro, come July the 1st, Ox, Naby, Milner, Bobby, thank you very much for the good times. You're leaving no matter what. So we know what we need to bring in. I shouldn't be hearing come August, September, Liverpool trying to get this deal over the line. No, man, fuck that.
All I'm saying,
ASAP, bro.
All I'm saying, I'm just going to be chilling, and I'm going to be intrigued to see what Jurgen Klopp does in the summer. I'm going to be super intrigued. I'm like Jerry said earlier on, grab whoever you're going to grab or whatever, get this player, whatever. And obviously, if you can surprise me, you can surprise me. I'm not going to just like get onto a player unless Jerry don't like him. I'm not going to get onto. If you surprise, man, calm. Coutinho, you surprise me. Sturridge, you surprise me. Like, that's all cool. I don't mind all those kind of things. But it's just going to be interesting to see what Liverpool do in the summer. And this is why I wanted to have this conversation about, the type of midfielder and the profile of player that we're trying to kind of look at. I saw something today talking about, I think, don't quote me, but I'm sure Fabrizio Romano was talking about roughly about how many players we may or may not sign in this summer, and he spoke about a couple of midfielders, potentially looking at a defender, couple of midfielders, defender, goalkeeper, and an attacker, apparently. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So
an
attacker as well. That was the last on the list.
What? So is someone leaving, or
he didn't say if anyone was leaving? He just said that was potentially something that we could be.
That was the last one he said as well, isn't it? He was like, and maybe in it. So we'll have to see that. But this is the thing. Come this summer, I swear Salah's gonna have what? Is he going into his last year next season, or is he's got another year after that?
Virgil, I swear, by the end of next season will be in his last year, though.
Yeah,
and Thiago's going into his last year.
Thiago's last season. Thiago's
next season.
Next season's a lot. He's got 1 year.
I'll be so surprised if we renew his contract.
I think Thiago goes. I think if someone comes in for Thiago, I think Thiago leaves
this summer. I'd sell him this summer. I wouldn't leave it to get to the point where it's like Thiago's going for nothing. We're back in the same situation again. Not because I don't rate him as a player, but we can't be so reliant on a guy that's a bit of a myth. So it's better just to have his position gone. And get a guy who we know. Yeah, bro. It's like, oh yeah, when Thiago comes, this and that. It's like we're talking about Father Christmas or like the flipping tooth fairy side.
The one thing that
we get an offer.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of just stood out to me was in the Arsenal game. Jones didn't play the whole game, of course, and Thiago came on.
Yeah.
G, we were speaking about it. I said I think Curtis Jones should start because he's been our best midfielder.
Yeah.
But Thiago only came on for the last 2 minutes. For me, that suggests something's...
Klopp doesn't trust him in this formation, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe, but it's the same thing with Gakpo, isn't it? We thought Bobby might play... down the centre because obviously his performance against Arsenal. He's played Gakpo because even though Gakpo had a shit game against Arsenal, it's like, you're the guy for the future, right? With Jones, not saying he's better than Thiago, but he's got more of a future in terms of he's more likely to stay, if anything, because he's English, grown and he's younger. Thiago's in his last year of his contract. Is it like, I don't think they're actively going to sell him. I don't think they're actively going to go out and just put him on the market. But if someone comes in for Thiago, I think they entertain it and allow him to go and do his business. Because if a Champions League club comes in for Thiago, like in Spain or in Italy, I think he goes. I think
Barcelona, look, they're trying to get Messi back now as well. You might as well bring Thiago. I'm saying, like, get the band back together. Yo,
he went in that band. He was on the bench. He was in a different band. Messi,
he was in
that. Messi don't know like that, bro.
He was in a. Big up April 1968. We should have spent last summer's window on Kane to win immediately instead of buying project players. And this is something that I spoke about last summer when Kane was flirting, obviously prior to us knowing that Haaland was going to go to City. And Kane was doing this flirting thing at the beginning. I was like, brother, why don't you just go out and buy Kane? Like, you're out here buying Nunez and you're out here buying Gakpo now. You've got, like, Firmino, I don't know. Because anytime I think of Nunez in my head, I always think negative thoughts, so I try to hold it back. But when we're talking about this thing, man. Say that again.
Roms is listening, man. Be careful.
Hey, fuck Roms, man.
Yeah,
but
like Roms like this. Roms like that. He's got a Ouija. He's got a doll of G with his head on. He just got a light like this.
And he's got a needle.
Burning him, bro. Burning him like this.
To be fair, my back's been hurting a little bit, so I can understand what Roms has been doing. But like, when I'm looking at these kind of players, I'm like, why don't you grab, like, you're talking about getting project players, and that's fine. So you got Carvalho in, you've obviously got Elliott there, you've got Jones who's still there, you brought in Calvin Ramsey. That's all fine. I'm good with that. Because those are players that maybe are looking towards the future. Maybe like as Jerry said earlier on in the stream about this might be a look towards a new manager. Maybe these are the type of players that he wants. No problem. But then you go out and you go and get the guys who are going to do the Lewandowski. These times you spent however much money on fucking, what's his name, Thiago. So that tells me that you're willing to spend money on a guy who's at the ending of his career anyway. That means you're willing to do it if they're a star player, so to speak. Like, he just finished coming off winning the Champions League. He was one of the best players in Europe at that time. No problem. So then why are we not looking in other areas? Why is it we have to do this this whole like project everywhere. Like everywhere is a project. I'm like, bro, like, are you not trying to get anybody who can just come in and just do the job today? Hence why I asked about the whole Gini Wijnaldum thing at the beginning, because the players that we continuously link to, I'm baffled, because I'm like, none of them are players who are ready today. They all maybe, in fact, no, none of them. And to be honest, hardly any of them are playing Champions League football. Declan Rice, Caicedo, like I know Mount and Gallagher are playing Champions League football, but I'm sure Mount was on the bench yesterday against Real Madrid. Gallagher stunk up the place yesterday against Madrid. Like, these are not, and he's not going to be playing Champions League football next season the way that Chelsea are obviously going. So I'm looking at most of these players outside of Bellingham. None of them are playing Champions League football. None of them are experienced enough. So I'm just confused at the type of profile of player that we are trying to obviously obtain moving forward. But again, I'm not the sporting director. I don't earn 15 million a year. It's not my job on the line. If you get sacked tomorrow, I'm still gonna have to go to work and do some shit tomorrow regardless. So Klopp, do your thing, as I've always kept saying. Do your thing. If it works out, great, good for you. If it doesn't, then it is what it is, kind of thing. But guys, I'm gonna bring everything to a close there anyway. Big up everyone in the chat, by the way. Angel 1968, Wino, Stefano, Ravi, Roms, who else was in there? Enns obviously was in there earlier on. Liverpool 12th man in there as well. Obviously Ram was obviously in there before, and everyone else was in there. Make sure you like, make sure you share, subscribe. I'd like to thank Jerry, Ish, and Ram obviously for joining me this evening or early evening, guys. I'll go around Ish. Let the people know where they can find you. Anything popping, Caption Game on, and I haven't said this word for years, on fleek, but go on.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. Just you lot know where to find me already, man. Equalizer _ daily captions. We are working every single day. Took a few days off, but we're back. We're back. Obviously, you got Champions League tonight as well, so yeah, you can expect the usual stuff tonight. But yeah, like G said, just you lot, man, make sure you're supporting this channel, man. G's bringing you stuff every day, TikTok, Insta, here as well. So yeah, you know, just make sure you're showing them some love as well, man. But yeah, big up.
Love, bro. Jerry.
Yeah, man. Just wanted to say big up to Michael Corleone, because I said this team won't win any more trophies. Sky Bet has now this prediction at 1 to 5 odds. And I told you, people, after the Champions League, I said it. So I just wanted to put that out there. But big up to obviously everyone in the building, everyone in the chat, Ram, Ish, G as well.
We need to get that video clipped up, by the way. I need to get that of you saying this clipped up still.
Yeah, you should clip up still.
I remember that day so clearly, because I was like, this Jerry guy, man. I was like, nah, because I think it was in the group chat at the time. I was like, no, he's wrong. He's wrong. But I didn't see the vision.
I'm the oracle. What can I say, man? I'm the oracle. I've come down from the football heavens to go and illuminate Scouse minds, bro. But yeah, man. Big up to everyone. Big up to G as well. It's actually a very, very good chat. Make sure we catch us obviously on the Jerry James show. We're going to be doing the preview for who we playing? Nottingham Forest on Saturday.
Forest, yeah.
So yeah, that will be tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I'm going to see if I can get a Nottingham Forest fan on. Big up to Dave. So I'm going to see if I can get Dave on. Catch us on there. If there's anything popping, any news in terms of transfers, Fabio Carvalho talk, any new signings, then obviously we'll be there coming clutch as well.
And Ram, let the people know, bro. Let the people know.
Yeah, you can find me on my Twitter at LRB Rams. Find me on the terrace doing my thing, and I'll also be on the JJ show from time to time, and obviously on GTV and on coffee and places like that. But you know how it is, man. Big up everybody in the chat. Big up everybody on this panel. And yeah, we out.
We out, people. Guys, if you're catching this on the replay, make sure you smash that like. In fact, you better be smashing that like whilst the intro is going. I've been getting bare DMs. It's John's track. Just John II. For everyone that keeps asking me, it's John II. fantastic music. We hear it on the Jerry James show as well. It is Jon II. That's his music. We've got to big up our people every single time. So if you want to go check out any more songs, obviously make sure you head over there. I'm G. We are out, people.
G, I'm not gonna lie, man.